Hey YouTube, and thanks for watching Junkworks Garage. Well, I went to Harbor Freight because they got a new cheap version of tools. It looks like maybe coming out. We'll have to see. Now, if you remember, I don't know, they didn't get a ton of views, but if you like Harbor Freight tools, go check out my Harbor Freight playlist. And on that playlist, along with a lot of other things, was me talking about the cheap Harbor Freight tools and how they were getting rid of them. And it does appear that a lot of them, as time goes on and I think their quantities run low, they are no longer going to keep a lot of those things in stock. And they're in the, you know, 20-ish to $35, $40 range. They're the central pneumatic, all that stuff that they have. That's a bunch of their real cheap air tools, and they quite honestly are decent quality for a very low price. Most people really do like them, even guys that use them every day in their professional jobs. I mean, you can look all over on YouTube, and if you really look closely, they may not talk about it, but a lot of those guys are using stuff from Harbor Freight as tools. But regardless, this is it came up on one of my advertisements, and this is what I was actually going to get that day. And I ended up with 3 other tools and not the tool I wanted. And it was a little grinder. Now they have 2 different sizes of these. This one, I will put it in the screen if I'm wrong, but I believe it is $24.99 regular price. And then they have a little bigger one that's very similar but slightly longer and a little bit more power, but they didn't actually have that one in stock. And I went, they had a 30% off day, and I went and picked this up because I've been wanting one of these. They're just a little angle grinder. Angle die grinder is really what it is. In fact, the one that I was looking at before that I was going to buy, I believe might have just been a grinder. And this one, that's everything in the box. Just a tiny little thing, and it's McGRAW. Anyhow, I saw an advertisement saying they had new ones and they were only $24.99 or something like that. And so I wanted to go take a look at it because I've been really kind of wanting one of these little tiny ones where I can get into tight places with these. And I've never had one like this. The only thing I've ever had, and I've been able to do a ton of stuff with this and basically use it similar to this, but there's been a few times where I just wish this was smaller and I wished it had a bit of an angle to it. This one I got a really good deal on from an older gentleman that I knew, an old friend of mine who had a body shop and no longer was doing the body shop stuff, and he knew I was starting my shop and gave me a smoking deal on all his tools. That thing still runs like a champ, but yet again, there's a few places where I'd like to be a little more comfortable when I'm grinding on some stuff. And so I went ahead and got this. Let's see what's all in here. This is supposed to be up in here plugging this off, and it's not, which makes me wonder if it has been used already, but we'll see. I will check it out and test it out. Mine did not come with any kind of a fitting, which yet again, I'm not upset when they don't come with fittings because they're more than likely not going to fit on the fitting or fit the fittings you're using. Compared to those other Harbor Freight cheapy tools, this feels more solid, but it is the same price, so we'll have to see. Only time will tell on how long, you know, things run. This feels pretty good. It's, you know, got a little bit of wobble, I will say, to it. Not really. I'm sure it'll turn fine, but there's a little bit of play already in the tip, so who knows. But regardless, it feels real good. It feels fairly heavy and solid. And what I went ahead and bought to go with it is this right here. Now, they have different kind of kits. I bought this one because it has the 2 different kinds of the 2 and 3 inch ones and a few of these that go on there. But you can also buy sanding pads, grinding discs and things, which I'm going to have to get. That'll go on here as well. So I found one of these I can put in here. I don't know how good it is because it's in my drawer. So there's a good chance it leaks and doesn't fit very well. But I'm just going to put that in by hand for now. I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on because I can't see. And drip a few drops. Normally I only put 2 or 3 in. But since this is the first time I'm using this, I'm going to go ahead and overfill it a little bit, make sure things are lubed up. And yet again on this one, similar to the other stuff I bought, it's got this little thing right here in the head, which I'm assuming is for like a grease. They got little fittings that you put on your grease guns that you can jam into these little ball fittings and grease the heads on these things. And I need to make sure I don't need to do that to all these tools, but for right now it's oiled up, and I'm sure they wouldn't send it without some grease in there, just for the simple fact I'm pretty sure nobody's probably in the history of buying these or any other tool from Harbor Freight actually took the time to do that. So there we go, we got air. Oh, that might help to actually have air go into it. And we're just going to kind of test it out with nothing here. I will say one other thing. There it is. It does come with a couple of tools. You got a small wrench, which goes on this, and a larger wrench which goes on this, and tightens the collet down so that you can put stuff in there. Anyway, we're going to throw some air in here now. This is supposed to only go up to 90 psi, so I got it actually over by my compressor at about 95 actually. But to each their own, you can do what you want to do, but I will say if you're throwing 75 psi or something like that is what my compressor is capable of pushing, you're probably going to blow the seals in these things fairly quickly. And yet again, this is just finger tight, so I'm just doing testing right now. That actually has a pretty good sound to it, I will say. I'm pretty happy with that so far. Let's go ahead and put that on there and see what it's like. Yet again, cheapy Harbor Freight fiber disc sanding kit is what it's called. Now it comes with 2 different shanks. It appears they're both identical. So I'm assuming these would go on here like this, and we would tighten those up on there. And then these are those twist lock things here, and I think any twist lock deal would probably work with this. This is the downside to this one. A lot of tools are toolless, so to speak, when you change these kind of things, but yet again, nothing you pay $24 for is probably going to be toolless. I don't know. If there is something out there, go ahead and leave it in the comments, but we're just going to loosen that up. That'll go in to there, hopefully. And then snug it up. I'm going to bring it up a slight amount because you don't want these completely hitting the tip here. You want it slightly out, just like you would with any kind of a drill or anything, drill bit or anything like that. You don't want it bottomed out. And snug it up. Yet again, as you do this, this will probably tighten up a little bit. And quite honestly, I'm living dangerously a little bit here with this. There we go. This is the same size. So this will actually work on here to tighten this up. You may want to tighten it up a little better than I just did. That feels really good. That's got a good feel to it. There you go. That works really good. And if I really push on it, I can slow it down. But you don't want to do that regardless of what tool you're using. Let the sandpaper do the work. In fact, I'd say that is one upside to cheap tools, is they force you to not overdo it. With sandpaper and anything else, you're just going to use up your product quicker. If you can be lightly light-handed with it, so to speak, it'll take it off just as fast, if not faster, and do the job without harming things. Not that this matters. This is just a test thing I'm using. I'm super happy with that, and I like the feel of it. It's a good feel in my hand. As far as the safety thing, I'm not a big fan of safety things, but they have their place and purpose. These seem to be pretty decent. I can't remember the price. If I can find a price, I'll put it in the screen somewhere for what I paid for this. And I believe this was $24.99. If not, yet again, it'll be in the screen somewhere. A couple wrenches. It comes with this that I should read. And a little upside note on this before I end this thing. I appreciate that the packaging isn't so huge that you have a ton of stuff to throw away. But regardless, I think I oiled it. Definitely blowing some oil out that groove there pretty good. I would even register to say I could probably bring the PSI down on this to make it last a little longer as far as the seals, and it would still do the job just fine. Hopefully you got something out of it, and I finally got the tool I was kind of originally trying to get a long time ago when I did that first video, like I said. It's kind of long in between here and here, but there you might be able to find some of these that are shorter. You can also put something like this in it, like I said, and use it for different types of, I believe that it's a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's a 1/4 horsepower and a 1/4 inch, I believe. Call it on here. Call it is 1/4 inch. So, I can't remember if the one that they have another one, like I said, it's the same size. It's still a little bit more than I think it's, I don't know, a little bit more of the horsepower that they call it. And I can't remember if it took 2 different shanks on it or not, but regardless, for this type of thing, most of these things are going to be a 1/4 inch probably anyway, so no loss there. And if I really have to, I still got this for whatever's bigger. I could put these wire wheels on there as well. It'll take anything I can put on this. I can put on this, unless the collet is too small for it. But most of the things I have are a 1/4 inch shank anyway. There you go. Now you know. Hopefully you got something out of that. I'm sure you'll see this later in videos as I'm using it. Now get out there and get your junk working. Thanks for watching Junk Works Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all and master of none. You all have a good one.